Add and simplify if possible. 11 over 16a plus 3 over 4a squared. In this case, we need to find a common denominator, but it's a little bit more complicated than the last one because the denominators have variables in them. If we ignore the variables for a moment and we just look at 16 and 4, then the least common denominator would be 16. But that's not going to work with the variables because remember the next step. We need to multiply the numerator and the denominator by the same thing. And if we look at what we multiply 16a by to get 16, it's kind of complicated. We actually need to divide by a to go from 16a to 16, but 11 doesn't have an a in it to divide by. So 16 is not going to be sufficient. At the very least, it's going to have an a. In this case, the first problem works out. 16a gets multiplied by 1 to become 16a, so we can multiply the top by 1 as well. But if we look at the other denominator, 4a squared, we can't multiply 4a squared by anything nice to get 16a, because we start off with an a squared and we end up with an a. So we need to modify the denominator again to take this into account, and in this case we're going to turn it into an a squared. The basic rule is if there is a factor in the denominator, like a, and it appears multiple times in one of the denominators, like a squared, we need to include the most number of times that it appears in one denominator. So since there's an a here and an a squared here, and a squared has more a's, we need our LCD to also have an a squared. In general, the LCD must include each factor that appears in either denominator. If a factor appears multiple times within one of the denominators, we must include the highest number of times it appears within the denominators. So in this case, because both of the denominators have an a, but the first one has just one factor of a and the second has two factors of a, we have to pick the highest number of times that it appears, in this case that's a squared, to put in our LCD. So the least common denominator in this problem is 16a squared. Next, we have to find the numerators. In the first one, 16a needs to get multiplied by a to become 16a squared. So the numerator also needs to be multiplied by a. 11 times a gives us 11a. With the second fraction, 4a squared needs to be multiplied by 4 to become 16a squared. So we multiply the numerator by 4, and 3 times 4 gives us 12. So we end up with 11a over 16a squared plus 12 over 16a squared. Now that we have a common denominator, we can keep that denominator and add the numerators together. Up top, 11a plus 12 is just 11a plus 12. There aren't any like terms to combine, so we just need to collect all of the terms together. And in this case, we cannot factor the top, and there's nothing in common in the top and bottom that we can factor out and cancel, so this ends up being our final answer, 11a plus 12 all over 16a squared.